Hi everyone! Say hi to everyone, Lucia. Hello, Lucia is joining us today for Chabadi's virtual experiments. She's actually in charge today, but she made sure to bring me so that it stays safe, right Lucia? Because we're going to be using some fire today. And when you use fire, you always need to make sure you bring an adult. So I think that's why Lucia, who's in charge of the science virtual club today, brought me along, isn't it? Absolutely. We're going to stay safe. We're not going to be wearing masks. We're staying socially distant because Musia is my daughter and we live in the same house, so we don't need to, but you guys better stay very socially distant from us. Keep on the other side of the screen, okay? You just make sure you don't get any closer to them. Okay, guys, and another thing that we brought to make sure we stay safe is water. Must tell us why there's going to be water sitting here the whole time.
So it can take out the fire.
Yeah, do you remember what word we used for putting out a fire?
Extinguish.
Extinguish. There we go. We want to make sure we've got fire extinguishers around. I actually brought another one. It might not look like a fire extinguisher, but bicarb soda or baking soda, super good with taking out little tiny kitchen fires. Okay, you guys ready to roll? So we told you what supplies to prepare. Some of them you'll be able to join and do with us, and some of them you'll just watch because they're not going to be as safe to do in your kitchens, right? Mm-hmm. But here today, we're going to have so much fun. So let's get started. Yeah? Okay, now we were talking about fire extinguishers, things that can put out fire. Hashem made this amazing world. It is amazing, and we never, ever, ever stop learning about its wonders. And in our world, everything's created from different elements. Elements almost means different type of things. But we learn in Yiddishkeit that there's 4 basic types of matter that create everything, or 4 different forms that everything comes from. It's called the 4 elements. So there are fire, water, air, and earth. Or in Hebrew we would say Eish, Ruach, Mayim, and Afar. So we're going to be using a lot of those supplies now because everything comes together from them. And that really is the building blocks that's going to put together a lot of our experiments and of course our beautiful worlds. So let's get started by using a natural fire extinguisher. Now, we already told you girls and boys that bicarb is great at putting out fires. Did you know that carbon dioxide that we experimented with a long time ago in our last lockdown when we had Science Virtual Club, carbon dioxide is great at putting out fires because fire needs the air that's around us to keep burning. Melissa, do you know what the air around us is mostly made out of?
Oxygen.
Oxygen. Good work. So we're going to make sure if there's not a lot of oxygen and instead we push in some carbon dioxide, let's see what happens to our fire. Okay. We have our bottle ready. If you guys had a bottle, you can use a glass bottle. We just used a regular water bottle that's empty. Let's take some bicarb, some baking soda. Can you shake some into my funnel? Now, you don't need to do this with a funnel. It's just much easier, like I told you in the past, to get any amounts into a narrow spout. We use funnels, and they're fun, right? Fun, funnel. Keep going. Got to know. Oh, yeah, that's perfect. We said to include about 2 tablespoons. So that's what Musia and I did. Now, we're ready for the vinegar. Now, do you remember what happens when we mix bicarb or baking soda and vinegar?
No.
You don't remember? Get ready.
It rises?
We're going to have a science experiment as part of our science experiment. Okay, now while Mulcia is doing that, I want to tell you guys something really important. She's going to be making this chemical combination of baking soda and vinegar, which produces carbon dioxide. Now I want to make sure the carbon dioxide stays in the bottle because I need it to show you that it can act as a fire extinguisher. Okay? So the way we're going to do that is I'm going to put my hand on top of the bottle while I light the fire. So watch carefully so you can do the same thing. The fire lighting, make sure an adult's doing for you, but you can handle everything with the bottle. Let's go, Mus. We're going to put in about 2 tablespoons, so I'll tell you when to stop. You're going to watch a fizzy reaction. Up. Perfect. Going down, and I am tapping my bottle. I hear the carbon dioxide. I can actually hear it. It is trying to escape, and my hand is holding it back. And what we're going to do now is I'm going to take our fire and our carbon dioxide and simply tilt the bottle right near the fire, and we'll see what just happened. It went out. I didn't go bring it any closer. No liquid poured out of my bottle because I didn't even have enough liquid to tip out from this angle. And the fire went poof, straight out because all the air, all the oxygen that was around it wasn't able to keep it alive anymore when the carbon dioxide came rushing out of the bottle and put out my candle. Okay? Now let's watch something else really cool that happens with fire. So for this one, we brought a candle. Now you can use a tea light or any type of candle. We chose a nice fat one. And for this experiment, I'm going to light my fat candle and leave it right here. If you guys can see it. You know, I'm going to peek to see if you can see it on the other side. I can't even see if you can see it. Let's see if you can see it. No, you can't see it so well. We're going to have to lift up the plate. Okay, now the next thing that we prepared is some water in a cup. Now, as I said before, water is really amazing. Lots of cool principles, but water is way more fun when you add some color. And then you get to watch everything. So Melissa, can you pick one of the 4 colors? And I'm going to put on gloves, not really for safety, but just to keep my hands cleaner. Green. That's my favorite color. And Melissa's favorite color. Okay, we're going to add some green to our water. Now this cup's a bit foggy, so it's going to be tricky to see. But I'm just going to hold it up for you. You can clearly see it's green water. And the reason we're showing you some green water is because something amazing is going to happen right next to my fire. So I already told you guys that fire needs oxygen to breathe. What do you think is going to happen if we cover up our fire, Melissa? And we don't let any air get to it.
Gonna go out?
It's gonna go out. Good hypothesis. Good guess there. So if you had, well, I'm not gonna pull up pots now, but if you had, chas v'shalom, a little fire in a pot, you can tell your mom, quick, cover it. Because if you take the lid and just cover the pot where a little fire is happening inside, it'll put out the fire. You have to be super careful. It's not too big, because otherwise you might need to use some other things. So if we cover up our fire, it's probably going to go out. But that's not all we're going to show you today. Right, Musia? Okay, so where's my glass? Do you have my glass? Perfect. Now, Musia's going to take the glass with me watching carefully, and she is going to cover the candle. But I'm going to come closer to the camera so that you can all see what happens when after she covers the candle, she takes the cup of water and very carefully pours it around the plate where the fire is currently going to be covered. And if it's covered, remember, the fire is probably not staying. Are you ready, Mus? So I'm going to go hold this camera so that everyone can actually see what's going on there. And Musia is carefully covering it. And then we're going to take our cup and pour the water that's super visible around the cup. And let's see what happens. Or on the counter as well. Can you guys see what's going on? Musia, tell them just in case they can't realize.
So it's going around it, and then it's on, and then the cap sucks up some of the water. And
You're right. You used the right word. It's becoming like a suction. Do you see all that water that started creeping up alongside the candle? Should we release it? You can do it now, Musia. It's not hot anymore. Blop! and all the water came flying out. Does it happen again when you just put the candle, when you put the cup down? Look, is the water creeping up again?
No.
No, it only happened when Mosia extinguished the fire, and that created that powerful little heat suction. How cool was that? For this one, we need a napkin to clean up because our cool grain water made its way off the plate and onto the counter. Okay, now for the next science experiment, if you guys finish putting away your glass and candle and you try that in your house, remember the food coloring is optional. If you didn't have food coloring, that's okay. You can still watch it and it's still super fun to do. You can try it a lot of times. Every time you relight the candle and put it down on the plate, the same cool thing happens again and again. And this time, Melissa, can you see the bubbles inside? This time even more water came up and it was bubbling. How cool is that? So this one's a really cool one. You can do it on repeat. You can release. Melissa, do you want to release it? Here we go. And should we do it one more last time? If you guys back at home didn't finish up yet, one last time. Melissa, you can carefully cover the candle. And let's watch it suction. Can you hear it?
Yeah.
You can even hear it. And that is a good strong suction because almost all of our water is creeping up in there.
It's
good work, Mosia. Should we leave it there for everybody to look at later?
The plate is really covered.
Yeah, the plate, almost all the water went inside. Good work, Moss. Okay, now we're on to our next science experiment. Mosia, are you ready? This is the one Mosia's been so excited for. Now, in our own homes, everyone's together with their family. And of course, we're having a lot of fun being together with our own families. But sometimes, if you want to look for something a little bit different to do with your family, you can actually write a message to someone and they have to figure out, you're going to have to wait a minute, Melissa, so I can explain what to do. They're going to have to figure out what the message says. But if you want to add a little element, you can write in code. You can write in Akbash, which is like a backwards Aleph-based code. You can write, not yet. You can write in lots of different things. But the one that we're trying today, that I did with Mosia, which is super duper fun, is writing with invisible ink. Now, invisible ink is something that sounds like it's a really expensive item, or maybe not, but something you'd need to buy in the store. And most of us are not going out unless it's essential, right? So we can't buy invisible ink. So what did we find in our kitchen fridge that we were able to use as invisible ink?
Lemon juice.
Lemon juice. Do you guys have lemon juice in your kitchen fridge? If you don't, you can squeeze a lemon. This is actually freshly squeezed lemon juice. The only reason it's fun to have lemon juice that's not freshly squeezed is because the pulp settles a bit. And you don't really want the pulp to show up in your invisible ink because that might give someone a trick of how to decipher what you wrote to them. So what you need for this science experiment is plain white paper. Do you have plain white paper? Check. A cotton bud. Do you have a cotton bud?
Yeah.
Check. And some lemon juice. And voila, that is it. But if you want to give the person a little bit of a hint of what to do, you can write with a real pen, hold this paper near heat. And the paper is going to look blank, but they need to bring the paper near fire or even a light bulb. A light bulb sometimes generates enough heat or another source of heat, and you're going to see what's going to happen. I'm going to tell you guys how it works. So Melissa, don't start yet. I'm going to tell you what I need you to do now. Grab your cotton bud, and you're going to write a message to me that don't tell me what it says. But keep it just to one word, not a long, complicated message. Because if we write long, complicated messages, our Chabad virtual friends might at that point have to go to dinner, and it's going to be long and complicated. Got it? So just one word. I'm going to do the same thing for Mosia. So Mosia, I'm not going to look at your paper. Don't look at mine yet. Okay? Dip your cotton bud into lemon juice. And then on your plain white paper, you can write your message or your word. Make sure that it has really good spacing so that the person who needs to read it is not going to have a hard time figuring it out. If you want them to have a hard time figuring it out, then you do that. that could add to the fun. But it's definitely a fun experiment to do. And it's super easy, and the invisible ink is sitting in your fridge. Now, I already finished my message. I'm gonna want it to dry a little bit, so I'll wave it out just a bit. And the only reason I want it to dry is not because I can't give Musia the message when it's wet. I can, but it's a bit more fun when she can't even see the shapes of it at all. When it's super duper dry and she can't see what I wrote at all. She can't even guess. Now, if you want to add another fun element, you can roll it up and put it in a bottle, and you can pretend you found it in the ocean, and it's scrolled up, and you say, wow, look at this, I found a message in a bottle. Can you help me decipher it? Now, what I'm going to do, I'm going to be away from the camera a little bit, because I'm going to bring it near my stove, and this is the part you have to be super careful about. You could do it with a lighter or with a match or with a candle, but it's very possible that while you're trying to decipher your code or your message written in invisible ink, your paper will catch on fire, chas v'shalom. Would that be safe to be holding a paper that caught on fire? I don't think so. So instead, I'm going to take our papers to the stove. Musia's going to watch to make sure that I stay safe. It's okay. And I'm going to turn on the stove very, very low, so a low flame. And of course, this is something that only an adult can do. And if you guys can see, all you can see is a white piece of paper with a little bit of wrinkling because it's a little bit wet. And now I'm going to hold my paper over the fire. We'll see if you can try to stay in the camera and hold yours up and keep trying to dry it. Okay? Dry it super duper carefully. And then we are going to swap papers. I am going to have a chance to read Musia's message. Keep drying it, Mus. And Musia is going to have a chance to read my message. Okay, Musia, eyes closed. We're doing a swap now.
I know what you'll say.
Oh, do you want to take it? You can show it to everyone. Let's see what Mommy wrote to you. What does it say?
Love you.
You missed one letter that I wrote even before the heart.
Oh,
I wrote, I love you, and I wrote it just with 3 little images.
I did something at the bottom too.
Musia is super cute, and it's coming out super clear. But again, I'm doing it super carefully so that I don't end up, chas v'shalom, with the paper on fire. Hi, Musia. Oh, you wrote something else to me as well?
From Musia.
Oh, you know what? I have to go back and do that. I'm going to go back and do that, but I'm first going to tell everyone what about this experiment makes it so cool. Now, if you say clearly, it used to say nothing clearly, and now it says hi. And this paper, Conorica, also said nothing, but now it says, I love you to Musia. So how did that work? Now, lemons, if you recall, we tested lemon juice at our last Science Chabad Youth Virtual Club. And do you remember if it was an acid or a base? It was a very, very strong acid. Good work, Mus. It was a strong acid. And lemon is one of those types of acids that actually turns brown when it's exposed to heat. And probably some other things that you guys can think of. A lot of other liquids that be in your fridge would work for this as well. Lemon juice is a really easy one, and because it's highly acidic, it's really easy to see. So because it turns brown, when you expose it to heat, you can expose your message. Was that cool?
Yeah.
Very cool. So you guys, this experiment can keep you busy for hours. You can write full stories and letters. You can have one person start the story, the next person has to add, and you keep passing it around, but you have to first decipher the message before you add the next line. Does that sound like fun?
Yes.
Oh, yes. Okay. We're going to put our secret message in a bottle supplies aside. And the next 2 experiments I'm going to show you guys are really fun, but they're the don't try this at home without a mom or a dad available the whole time experiments because it's a bit dramatic and involves fire, which we said again is our super duper cool stuff that we want to use to show how powerful and amazing the elements Hashem created are. So for this science experiment, I took some tea bags. You smell it from where you are? Mm-hmm. It's green tea. Now, the first thing I want to do is take all the tea out of the tea bag. And the reason I'm doing that is because I actually really just want the paper. Is that kind of silly? Just a little bit. So I should have prepared a scissor, but I'm going to spin around here and take a scissor. And cut off the top And I put a piece of paper here just so I can catch it. Now, the way the science experiment works best is if you have a tea bag that's not sewn down in the middle, so that when I trim off the top, I can take all of the green tea that's inside and pour it straight onto my paper. And if you've got tea filters, you can still use it to make a tea.
And that's what you did.
And, well, I don't have tea filters, but that's exactly what I did. I took such a type of tea bag. It smells delicious. And I ended up, the truth is, you can make it into potpourri, leave it in the bathroom in a little bowl with dried fruit to make it smell good. Lots of other good ideas. I'm gonna put it aside for a minute. That's the tea that I took out of the tea bag. And all I'm left with now is an empty tea bag. Now I stood it up and I also kind of popped it out to make it look more hollow, okay? Now I'm gonna put it standing on my counter. Now, Musia, for this one, it's gonna be a little bit almost scary. Are you ready? I wanna do it with the rest of them in a minute, so I'll need those back. What's gonna happen? I'm gonna come around to the side so you guys can see what's going on the camera. I'm gonna be taking the camera closer, and I'm gonna take it right next to my new hollowed out tea bag. And then as an adult, I'm gonna have a lighter. Most of you are being clever by backing up. And something's gonna happen that you may or may not predict. My tea bag's on fire, it's burning super quickly. Now my counter's safe, and take off! It is slowly descending. Let's see if I can catch it. Oh, there we go. That's all that's left of my tea bag. It is kind of like dust, it's ashes. Should we try that again, but this time with a few tea bags?
Yeah.
That'd be cool. Okay, so Mosi, go help me out. You can start opening it up. I'm gonna put the camera back and then make sure to get it all ready. Yeah, you can trim the top, and then we have to carefully empty the supplies out. And I'm gonna take, whoa, it's going flying again. We're gonna have black ash all over our kitchen.
Which you don't want.
In our kitchen science. Okay,
Which you don't want.
can you help me trim these, please? Trim the top off. Should we do, you know what, we'll just do two because we're running out of time just a bit.
The last one.
Yeah, really fast?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, I'll trim the tops. You can empty them. You want to trim one? Yep, sure. I'll empty this meanwhile. Okay, so I do the exact same thing again. This part kids can do. And I end up with that empty bag and I make it into a hollow, almost like a tunnel. And stand it up on a surface that's not flammable. So not flammable would be a surface, for example, like my kitchen counter is pretty good. A little bit of fire won't burn it. You can do it inside a pan. Remember, the fire doesn't stay very long, as you all saw before takeoff.
Island.
An island. Oh, the island of the kitchen. Yes. Oh, I'm having some trouble, Mostly. It's going to be like dominoes here.
To do this. Can I want to straight that out? Straight this in.
Oh, I got two standing. Okay, I'm just going to trim it a bit more because sometimes when it's not perfectly flat at the bottom, it ends up tipping. Okay, guys, are you ready for this?
Want it to slide.
You guys ready? Okay, once again. Uh-oh. Let's see if we can get that standing again, because if it's not standing, the fire doesn't work as well. I've done this when it tips, and I just ended up with extra soot on the counter. There we go. Are you guys ready? Mosi, are you ready?
Yeah.
Back up a bit, please. Let's light 1, 2, 3. And chabad you the kids wherever you are. Get ready. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and 2 takeoffs. And make that 3 takeoffs flying along our ceiling. Where do you think they're gonna land this time, Mus? I caught one.
On my hand.
On your hand, you could. It's not hot anymore, actually.
I cut it on my hand.
Okay, you might need to wash your hand after that. How cool was that? With all of our soot-covered hands and the dust in our kitchen and the little mess that we made on our table. I hope you guys have had so much fun today joining us for the science experiments. And I want to remind you once again that first of all, fire is amazing. It's one of the wonders of Hashem. It helps give us heat. It helps keep us warm. It helps us have amazing bonfires on summer nights and a lot of other awesome things. And of course, it helps us to eat. Right, Mus? Why does it help us eat?
Pasta.
Well, basically any food. Why does it help us? Because we can actually cook the food with fire.
Pasta.
Yes, we definitely can. Lucy loves pasta. But with that same thing in mind, we have to remember that these amazing things that Hashem created, like fire, need to be treated with care because they're very powerful elements and they can cause a lot of destruction, chas v'shalom, if we don't take care of it. So we have to take care of our bodies, take care of our homes, take care of our world by making sure that we do these science experiments only in safe ways. And we can't wait to meet you guys next time at our Chabad Youth Virtual Science Club, right? Do you want to say goodbye to everyone?
Bye.
Stay safe.
Have a nice day.
And if you want to write us secret messages and send it to us, we will discover and decipher them over heat because we know those blank papers are really very meaningful. Right, Mus? Okay.
Well, maybe they can do it and they can send it.
Yes, they can. Send it in the mail.